Hello viewers, I, Shachi Shah, Professor Environmental Studies in School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary, will cover today Sustainable Management of Natural Resources SDG perspective. In this session, we will discuss about sustainable management of natural resources from SDG perspectives. Natural resources form the backbone of economic development of any country. Activities such as agriculture, animal husbandry, forestry, fisheries, mining, urbanization and infrastructure development can have a significant impact on the environment and a country's future, which underlines the need for close integration of environment and natural resource management with economic growth and social change. The main driving forces of resource consumption are population and economic growth, and the pattern of development broadly defined to include technological level, economic structure, and the patterns of production and consumption. Since the 1970, global population has doubled and global gross domestic product GDP has grown fourfold. The use of natural resources has more than tripled from 1970 and continues to grow. This has been fueled by an ever-increasing supply and extraction of material, thereby intensifying pressure on land and water. Material includes biomass, fossil fuel, metals and non-metallic minerals, while natural resources encompasses all materials, water and land. These trends have required large amount of natural resources to fuel economic development and attend increase in human well-being. Indeed, there has been a prolonged period of stabilization or decline in global material demand in the last 50 years. Rather, global resource extraction has grown rapidly in the time. According to the International Resource Panel, extraction reached 92 billion tons in 2017 compared to 27 billion tons in 1970. Global material extraction has also become slightly more concentrated over the last 5 decades. Two key dynamics are at play here. First, an increasing demand to build up new infrastructure, especially in developing and emerging economies, and the second, outsourcing of the more material and energy intensive stages of production chains by a higher income country to lower income but transition countries. Increased use of natural resource was observed with concomitant increase in land disruption, groundwater implication and energy use. Pressure on biotic resources has also escalated. The degradation of cultivated land, forest and grassland is a rate that undermines the ability of critical ecosystem to replenish themselves. Up to 1/4 of the world food production may be lost by 2050 due to climate change, land degradation, water scarcity and other issues. Yet, we continue to waste 1/3 of the food we produce each year. Historically and current pattern of natural resource use are resulting in increasingly negative impact on the environment and human health. The extraction and processing of materials, fuels and food make up about half of the total global greenhouse gas emission, which does not include climate impact related to land use and more than 90% of biodiversity loss and water stress. Agriculture is the main driver of biodiversity loss and water stress, while all types of resources carry a significant share of the climate change and health impact from particulate matter. In emerging economies, the build-up of infrastructure play an important role in resource-related climate change impact. The use of natural resources and the related benefits and environmental impact are unevenly distributed across countries and regions. In the absence of urgent and concerted actions, rapid growth and inefficient use of natural resources will continue to create unsustainable pressure on the environment. A scenario developed by the International Resource Panel on Historical Trend of Material Use shows that unless a fundamental change drives natural resources use away from the status quo, this use will continue to grow, greenhouse gas emission will increase, industrial water withdrawal will increase, and the area of agricultural land increase and forests will reduce. Moreover, many existing species will become globally and irreversibly extinct due to global land use activities. According to the UNEP, the consumption of water contributes to water stress, threatening the sustainable supply of fresh water to human and ecosystem. Agriculture is the main water consumer in the global economy and accounts for approximately 85% of the global water stress. Other impacts of resource use include eutrophication and ecotoxic effect caused by the overuse of fertilizer in certain areas and which can ultimately lead to biodiversity loss. Natural resources are inextricably linked to combating climate change, biodiversity loss and desertification, as well as achievement of sustainable development goal. The achievement of this aim requires the use of natural resources. Natural resources are closely linked to the sustainable development goal. The sustainable development goals aim, among other ambitions, to eradicate poverty, reduce inequality, ensure prosperity and enhance the efforts to fight climate change. What are the sustainable development goals? The sustainable development goals, which are also known as the global goals, were adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. The 17 SDGs are integrated, that is, they recognize the action in one area will affect outcomes in others, and the development must balance social, economic and environmental sustainability. Natural resources can directly or indirectly impact all 17 of the SDGs. However, the use of natural resources has consequences. The uptake in natural resource use has contributed to the situation where 4 out of 9 of the planetary boundaries are surpassing their recommended limits. The planetary boundaries framework, which is based on the understanding of long-term behavior of the Earth system, underscore why it is necessary to change how natural resources are currently being used and managed. A global society living outside of the planetary boundary may lead to an altered Earth ecosystem that is less hospitable than the current one. 2 of the planetary boundaries, climate change and biosphere integrity, including biodiversity loss, are regarded as core boundaries because the coevolution of life on Earth and the physical climate are defining aspect of the Earth system. Due to the interaction and feedbacks between life and climate change, to either boundary have the potential to cause change in the entire Earth system. The 9 planetary boundaries are climate change, ocean acidification, stratospheric ozone, global phosphorus and nitrogen cycle, atmospheric and aerosol loading, freshwater use, land use change, biodiversity loss and chemical pollution. Let us now discuss the interlinkages between SDGs and natural resource management. All 17 of the SDG will imply competition for resources, while progress toward 12 of them is directly related to the sustainable use of resources, including land, food, water, energy and material. The IRP's new report assesses the interlinkages, synergies and trade-offs among natural resources related SDG that decision maker must take into account in formulating policies for their implementation. The SDGs on energy, food security and climate change need to be addressed by sectoral policies. There will be potential trade-offs between food system, biodiversity, climate mitigation, nutrient pollution and freshwater use. As such, progress should be made on all SDGs together as an integrated, coordinated package, understanding the different goals, their resource requirement, managing the synergies and mitigating the trade-offs. Further, if policies are combined with sustainable consumption and production measures and implemented within a system of environment and social safeguard, achievement of the combined goal is more realistic. Worldwide, material consumption has expanded rapidly, as has material footprint per capita. It is seriously jeopardizing the achievement of Sustainable Goal 12 and the goals more broadly. Urgent action is needed to ensure that current material needs do not lead to the over-extraction of resources or to the degradation of environmental resources, and should include policies that improve resource efficiency, reduce waste, and mainstream sustainability practices all sectors across the economy. Fundamental change is embodied in the principle of sustainable consumption and production (SCP). SCP considered the entire life cycle of economic activities from the extraction of resources, processing these resources into material and products, the use of these products, and finally their disposal as waste or emission. Systemic change that drives sustainability throughout the life cycle promotes SCP and help mitigate environmental challenges related to the planetary boundaries as well as those associated with negative human being impact. Changes in consumption and production patterns promote decoupling and can trigger transformation towards sustainability as envisaged in international obligation. Through a combination of extended product life cycle, intelligent product design and standardization, reuse, recycling and remanufacturing, the concept of circular economy operationalize SCP ambitions and promote value retention and environmental impact reduction, while simultaneously reducing cost and creating economic opportunity. New environmentally sound technologies provide innovative solutions that advance circularity and also support sustainable consumption and production. Particularly relevant SDGs for this process include Target 8.4 and 12.2. Target 8.4 aims to progressively improve global resource efficiency in consumption and production while decoupling economic growth from the environmental degradation by 2030. And the Target 12.2 proposes to achieve the sustainable management and efficient use of natural resources by 2030. The core challenge of achieving the Sustainable Development Goal will be to lift a further 1 billion people out of absolute poverty and address inequalities while meeting the resource need in terms of energy, land, water, food, material supply of an estimated 8 billion people in 2030. The fulfillment of the SDG in word and spirit will require fundamental shift in the manner with which humanities views the natural environment in relation to human development. For SDG to achieve maximum impact, they must be implemented coherently across all goals. There are major opportunities for synergies between goals to ensure that progress toward one goal strengthen the fulfillment of others and address resource constraints or conflicts which could limit progress towards other. Achieving the social and economic progress envisaged in some SDG required the simultaneous investment in natural capital envisaged in others. Progress toward the SDG related to food security, energy production, water and sanitation, for example, all depend on the same land system that are subject to conservation strategies aiming to maintain biodiversity and ecosystem services. Shifts in production system that address structural inefficiency, resource productivity and resource conservation strategy will reduce pressure on land, water, energy to meet the target of food security, energy access, water security and climate resilience only to limited extents. Policies addressing the demand side such as consumption patterns, will also be required. In adopting and implementing the Sustainable Development Goals, the international community should maintain a sustainable resource management perspective that recognizes the importance of restoration, conservation, efficiency, and decoupling strategy for achieving the SDG. We should promote synergies and avoid environmental development trade-offs among the SDGs through analyzing natural resources and socio-economic system interaction, coherence, and coordination among the policies, strategies for achieving multiple SDGs. To achieve co-benefits need to be created, and consumption patterns and production system that contribute to human well-being without putting unsustainable pressure on the environment and resources need to be adopted, and build national capacity for integrated policy assessment, technological innovation, and financial mobilization to enable countries to formulate and implement international or integrated strategies. The natural resource extraction and processing makes up approximately 50% of the total greenhouse gas emission. Resource-related impact on water stress and biodiversity loss due to land use and even more significant. If the rising trend in resource-related impacts persists, the goal of the Paris Agreement will become difficult to meet, and the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal, including SDGs 15.5 to halt biodiversity loss, will be put at risk. So, if we talk about transition to sustainable future, the decoupling of natural resource use and environmental impact from economic activity and human well-being is essential element in the transition to a sustainable future. Decoupling occurs when resource use or a pressure on the environment or human being grows at a slower rate than the activity causing it or declining while the economic activity continue to grow, called as relative decoupling and absolute decoupling respectively. A related decoupling of resource-related environmental impacts from GDP and the relative decoupling of impacts from external extracted mass of resources has occurred since the year 2000. However, impact still increased on absolute scale. Absolute decoupling in high-income countries can lower average resource consumption, distribute prosperity, equality, and maintain a high quality of life. Related decoupling in developing economy and economic in transition can raise average income level and eliminate poverty while still increasing level of natural resource consumption until a socially acceptable quality life is achieved. Achieving decoupling is possible and can deliver substantial social and environmental benefits, including repair of past environmental damage while also supporting economic growth and human well-being. The sustainability scenario assumes implementation of a combination of resource efficiency policies across different time frames based on the scientific research and development, climate mitigation, carbon removal policies, as well as biodiversity protection measures. Policymakers and decision makers have tools at their disposal to advance worthwhile change, including transformational change at various levels. Achieving decoupling is possible and can deliver substantial social and environmental benefit while also supporting economic growth and human well-being. The sustainability scenario assumes implementation of combination of resource efficiency policy across different time frames based on scientific research and development, climate mitigation, and carbon removal policies. We need resource efficiency, sustainable consumption and production, and circular economy policy. It can achieve decoupling. In all cases, multiple benefits can be achieved by coordinating national plans for decoupling that use natural resources with plans for climate change mitigation and adaptation, as well as national plan for the protection, conservation, and sustainable use of biodiversity. Current trends of escalating unsustainable exploitation and use of natural resources will affect their future availability and accessibility, and therefore likely to impede the fulfillment of goals, particularly eradication of poverty as well as disrupt critical earth system process. Further, as natural resources are intricately interlinked, pathways and policies designed to accomplish one SDG may either enhance or impede progress toward numerous other across the whole spectrum of goals. Improving the well-being of people while minimizing resource use and environmental impact, in particular through enhanced resource efficiency, is an essential aspect delivering on Sustainable Development Goal 12 on responsible production and consumption, and also almost all of the goal in a direct or indirect manner. To achieve such decoupling, today's linear material flow through the economy must become circular through intelligent design of product, incorporating standardizing, reuse, recycling, manufacturing, etc. What are the challenges for resource management and achieving the Sustainable Development Goal? We have seen that global material resource has accelerated in the first decade of 21st century, thereby increasing environmental pressure and impacts such as pollution. An estimated 4 out of 9 planetary boundaries have been surpassed, irreversibly change the functioning of major Earth system process. Over the last few decades, combination of habitat loss, overexploitation and pollution has led to catastrophic decline in biodiversity, known as Earth's sixth mass extinction, in the form of damage to ecosystem, functioning and services vital to sustaining civilization. There is high inequality in distribution, availability and use of natural resources, and in exposure to environmental risk factor across world region and within the countries and cities. One of the great strengths of the SDG framework is its recognition of the intimate link between human well-being, economic prosperity and healthy environment. Either directly or indirectly, natural resources and environment are linked to all SDGs, impacting poverty, health, hunger, gender, inequality, food and agriculture, water and sanitation, human settlement, energy, climate change, sustainable consumption production, and ocean and terrestrial ecosystem. The linkages of natural resources and SDG manifest in society-environmental interaction in the form of consumption-production system that are played at different scale: global, national, regional and city. Analysis of these interactions at multiple scale provide a powerful means of understanding the drivers and potential pathways to achieving sustainable development in different world regions, nations and cities. The drivers of resources include production and consumption pattern, urbanization, economic growth, population growth, lifestyle changes, emerging disruptive technologies, poverty and inequalities in basic services. Improved energy efficiency in the transport sector, for example, may help improve economic resilience with regard to fuel-related price and volatility. Sustainable resource management and resource efficiency are essential for sustainable development. Significant improvement on resource efficiency will be necessary to meet the aspiration expressed in the SDG and the Paris Agreement on climate change. Natural resources, as they are linked to all 17 SDG, including the reduction in inequality, that is goal 10, the interlinkages manifest in society environmental interaction in the form of consumption and production system. In conclusion, I would like to say that natural resources and sustainable development are intimately linked. The Sustainable Development Goal aims to end poverty, protect the planet and ensure prosperity for all by year 2030. They represent a collective vision of a better future that is ambitious, universally applicable and truly transformative. To this end, restoring and maintaining the health of natural resource base is necessary condition. Examples of the linkages between the use of multiple natural resources, materials, lands, water, biodiversity and environmental impacts, for example, greenhouse gas emission, pollution, etc., economic development, human health and well-being. Understanding these linkages is essential to achieve Sustainable Development Goal. Thank you.